Welcome back to the secret underground lair. Here is the top of our cabinet, now out of clamps. So really impressed with the curve that we have on that. That's going to look really nice. So today what we're going to do is just do a little bit of filling on the inside here to cover up some of the cracks that remain and take care of a little bit of the cutout or the tear out that we had. This in here is particularly bad. That's going to require some attention. So we'll fix that up. Then we're going to move on to the sides and make a cutout for the baseboard at the bottom of the cabinet and get the anchor shelf and the bottom shelf put in place. So hopefully we'll get all and the top capped on the cabinet. So we'll get hopefully a standing cabinet today. That will be today's adventure. So we're going to start today by simply putting on some wood filler just to fill up the cracks that are left a little bit in here. So a little bit of tedium. And the intention right now is just kind of get filler in there, get relatively smooth, and then we'll come back and sand it all down. So I'm going to put you on fast forward for this little bit. So I have some filler coverage now on this, and I'm going to flip the piece around, do the other side, and I'll come back when that's done. All right, so that's the top inside filled, at least our first pass. We'll do some sanding. We'll probably need to do a little bit more, particularly in this area here, and there's a little bit up at this end that I may want to touch up. But that's looking reasonably good at the moment, so I'm pleased with that. Now, I'm going to put the sides back up on the work table here, and we'll figure out what we want to do to accommodate baseboard. So, I cut a sample profile of the baseboard that we're going to accommodate. It's 5¼ inches tall, 1/4 inch on top, and about 4½ inches from here to here. So, this is a rough shape, so what I intend to do is we'll just put that on here so we can gauge where we want to cut off the back here, including what will be a 3/4 inch foot on the bottom of that cabinet. So I add 3/4 inch, line this up with the back. Now I can see exactly where I want to cut. And we'll give just a little bit of clearance on that too, but so that would be our cut, and that requires then that on our bottom shelf here, we're going to have to make a little bit of a notch as that comes in to accommodate the top of the baseboard. Still gives us, when the back of the cabinet comes down, we still have a good purchase here, so the back of the cabinet will come to there, almost touching the top of the baseboard, but it will be able to be tacked into the back shelf. So that will work. We're close, but it's going to work and work out well. So I put some tape over here just to avoid some tear out. Just going to make a little bit of an adjustment in here. Then we'll do a little sanding to get that cleared out. Now the next trick, of course, is transferring this mark onto the other piece of baseboard so we can make the same cut. All right, so we're now getting ready to cut our bottom shelf and our anchor shelf. And then we can think about assembling the cabinet. So the bottom shelf is going to be a 1/4 of an inch narrower than the width of the sides. And the reason for that is to accommodate the 1/4 inch cutout that we have on the back here. So the bottom shelf is going to come up flush with the inside edge of this rabbet that we cut. So rather than being 21 1/4, it's going to be 21 inches wide. And in terms of length, the cabinet is 38 inches wide overall. We took a 1/4 of an inch out of this 3/4 inch side, a 1/4 inch out of the other 3/4 inch side. So that leaves us with a 1/2 inch exposed on each side. So 38 minus the half for this, 38 minus the other half on that is going to be a 37 inch wide bottom shelf. When it comes to our anchor shelf, it too will be 37 inches in length. But we're not going to make it come out flush here because we want this anchor shelf to have the appearance of one of the other shelves, any of the other shelves in the cabinet. So it's going to have a 3/4 inch face on it by 1.5 inches. So it's going to be appear to be a thick shelf. And we want it to be set back about 1/8 of an inch to accommodate a little cabinet door bump stop. So rather than being 21 inches wide, it is going to be 7/8 of an inch less than that. So be 21 or 20 and 1/8. Sorry, I'll get the right measurement, but you understand it's going to be inset just a little bit, 1/8 of an inch, plus 3/4 for the facing. So we're going to cut out the bottom shelf first. I have that set up on the table saw. So I'll take over and we'll go through those cuts. All right, got our piece set up on the table saw. There was a blemish, or there is a blemish on this piece of wood down here. This is going to be cut off, so we wind up with blemish-free wood. Just with a little bit of planning, you can take what looks like crappy wood and be selective with your cuts and wind up with nice clean stuff. I swapped out the blade too, by the way. I went away from my ripping blade. We're now down to a 60-tooth plywood blade and fine finish blade. So I also put tape on the underside of this just to help out avoid the tear out. The tape did a very nice job of, and the blade, of keeping that a clean cut. Okay, last cut for this piece will be to get it to our 21 inch width. All right, this is now our anchor shelf. Sorry, not the anchor shelf, the bottom shelf. So with this shelf, we have a nice flush fit on the front, flush fit here where that dado meets, so the back will come right across about halfway through there. The baseboard is going to come up and meet about halfway, so we have to take out just a little notch out of this back corner. And to do that, I think I will just make 2 passes through the table saw, taking off, I'll mark it here, about 1/4 inch there and 1/4 inch there, maybe 3/8. And now with this little bit of relief cut, we have clearance for the baseboard and room for purchase for the back of the cabinet. So that is the bottom shelf. Now we'll work on the anchor shelf. Okay, we are ready now to cut our anchor shelf. Now the anchor shelf and all other shelves are going to be the same width, 20 and 1/8. So I'm cutting 2 pieces out of this one piece of wood. Next step will be cutting these into 37-inch, one piece, 37 inches. That'll be the anchor shelf. The other shelves are going to be slightly less than that. You can use the circular saw to cut this anchor shelf to length. So we now have both pieces, the top is cut, bottom shelf is cut, the anchor shelf is cut. We could now work on assembly of the cabinet. Before, of course, we do the assembly of the cabinet, I need to create some guide pin holes for some dowels that will go in the top, the curved edge of our top, and of course the tops of the sides. So that'll be our next little task. First, a bite of lunch. All right, now setting up jig to drill holes for our locating pins, which is just going to be this 1/4-inch dowel. So we'll cut that into little strips, but we'll drill 4 holes here. I've got 4 holes marked on the other side, and then we'll drill the companion holes on the ends of the sides. Put a little piece of masking tape on here to indicate where I'm going to stop. This is my little dowel cutting jig. I've set it to the right width. So I need to know that this is on the outside. And I can look through here and line up the mark that I've made. Now I can just come through here and drill the hole to depth. And I'm drilling these holes just slightly off center to cater for the curve here of this piece. We're looking pretty good with those. Let's drill the other side. Okay, so those are the holes on our top. Dowels will slip in there. There's a little bit of movement on that, which is okay. I'll cut these guys to length, and then they're good for aligning. And again, these aren't necessarily for strength or anything. They are primarily alignment tools, just to get everything, the top lined up properly. All right, I'm going to mark out the side pieces now and drill the holes in there. So here is the top and the side lined up on edge. I'm using my clamps here to kind of get the 2 pieces together, as you can see here. So the clamp kind of sits in between the crack, and the 2 sides of the jaw grab the panels. And what I have in here are little centering pins. So it's a 1/4-inch metal dowel that goes into this side and is sharpened to a point. So I've got all 4 of them. I've got 4 of them in each of the 4 holes, one back down in there. With the pieces kind of squished together like this, so kind of bringing them together, I can simply tap on the top end of it and push them in a little bit farther And that marks exactly where those holes need to be. Actually gives them a little bit of a countersink. So now I know exactly where the holes need to be. I can take this apart and drill the holes in this piece. So I put the 3 holes, 1, 2, 3 holes in there. I've just set up the guide on the 4th hole. And I'm even using a clamp to hold it in place. And this is hitting exactly the mark that I want. There we have our 4 alignment holes done. Just going to cut some dowels to length, stick them in there. Just make sure that this will line up and do what I think it should. Okay, I've removed the 4 metal pins. Let's inserted the 4 wooden dowels. Now let's see if this actually does in fact line up. Well, I don't think I could be happier with that. That's perfect, perfect line. With a little clamping, we'll get that in nice and tight. There will be a seam here. That's going to be unavoidable, but we'll minimize that in the construction. So there we are, side and top attached. That's going to be very nice. Okay, going to work on the other side now. We'll get those pins lined up. And then the next step is actually going to be drilling the holes for the shelves. Okay, we're set to drill a bunch of holes now in the cabinet sides to accommodate shelf brackets. And I've picked up just a sample. This is a 5mm shelf bracket. 5mm is common with European cabinetry, including that very famous Swedish cabinetry, whose name we understand to be equivalent of common sense. So, yeah, but there's so many different varieties of these. I didn't buy them, so I'm going to ask our customer to take a look at the one she wants, and then she can pick up a number of brackets that suit her liking. These are gold plated, they have silver plated, they have just straight pins, the plastic ones, all kinds of varieties. But 5mm is the pitch that I'm drilling. So I'm going to set you up on time lapse, and away we go. Finished drilling the holes in the one side, so now we're going to drill holes in this will be the left side of the cabinet. And then once I have the holes drilled, I'm just going over everything with a sander just to kind of get rid of any scuff marks left over from the drill and all of the pencil lines, so that we wind up with a nice clean sheet all the way down. So I'll put you back on time lapse. We'll do the remainder of these holes. So that is all the holes drilled. Now we're just going to go over the entire piece here with a little sander. Get rid of any scuff marks or pencil lines and clean up any tear out from the holes or leftover bits from the holes. There is a dry fit of the cabinet. So major body complete. We have this drop down 1/8", or yeah, 1 1/8". Sorry, is that right? Yeah, 3/4 or 7/8 of an inch rather. So that'll be 7/8 of an inch. There's a 3/4 inch piece that'll go on the top of this as a facing, just as there will be a facing around the entire cabinet. And yeah, our cabinet kind of edge comes around here nicely. We do have a seam here, but that will be. But I'm pleased with the way that rounded corner turned out. Now I can't stand it up yet until I get our anchor shelf and the bottom shelf fastened firmly. And I may in fact want to put the back on before I stand it up. Just make sure we have all the strength that we need. But we're getting close. We are getting close. So that is a video for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I will see you on the next video.